Dynamic blessings. Welcome to the Synergistic Edge, where high performers win everywhere. It's 2026. It's a new year. Super happy to be here. I hope you're having a great start to your new year so far. A couple life updates for me. I always love to talk about the new year, what it's bringing up, what I finished up. And honestly, the biggest part of the end of my year was watching my son enjoy the holidays, watching my son now as a 1 year old, 14 months to be exact, be able to really enjoy Christmas and be in the festivities, be able to open some presents, be around family, and just be really excited to enjoy that entire experience. 2 years ago, 2024 was his first Christmas, and he was just a little blob then, just 1 month old. So to be able to experience that with him this year and watch him grow has been absolutely incredible. And I hope you had a great time with your family and friends at the end of the year and that you're ready to start 2026 off with a bang. And what I wanted to talk about in today's episode is how you can reach your health and performance goals in 2026 much faster, effectively, and most efficiently by utilizing performance blood work. In this episode, I'll go deeper into what blood work is, the difference between standard blood work that you might get with your doctor and performance blood work that you can get with some different third parties, and ultimately how you can use those results that you get from the performance blood work to understand how do you actually utilize that information to better your lifestyle, your nutrition, and also your supplementation. Being in the health and performance game for over 14 years now, I understand how exciting the beginning of the year is. It's the beginning of the year. You're probably wrapping up a lot of your work stuff already from Q4. You've been doing a lot of planning for Q1, and now you're in this execution mode from a work standpoint. And oftentimes, when it comes to health, it's the same type of thing. You're starting to put together your plan for your training. You're putting together your plan for how you want to focus on your nutrition. Maybe you're thinking about your plan on how you're going to increase your energy, your resilience, your performance, manage your stress, whatever it may be. All of that can be taken to a higher level when you utilize blood work. Now, when I say blood work, what do I mean by that? That's essentially when you go and you get your blood drawn, and then they go and they test your blood to see what a bunch of different biomarkers are at. And what these biomarkers tell us, when you look at them individually and as a group together, they can show you what's going on inside of your body. So simply put, your blood work is a snapshot or a portrait of what you look like on the inside. And based on what's happening in your blood, because blood goes to every single part of the body, we can put together some trends to understand what's going well, what needs help, and ultimately what you can do to take your energy, health, performance to a whole different level. Now, first thing I want to do is talk about number one. There's so many blind spots that people like you might go through when you are trying to better your health. Now, don't get me wrong. There are very specific tried and true principles that you want to adopt no matter where your blood work is at. This looks like cleaning up the diet where you're eating mostly real food and you are eliminating as much of the ultra processed foods as possible. Drinking enough water, half your body weight in ounces of water is going to be huge no matter what. Another big one is going to be moving, exercising. Typically, you're going to want to do that, but depending on what your blood work is showing will dictate how you want to think about that. And also, too, you want to make sure you're getting a lot of sleep, that you're finding effective ways to manage stress. All of those things are super important and things that you want to focus on. Now, with that being said, if you want to take it to the next level, you're able to be much more fine-tuned and exact when you understand what your blood work numbers currently are and what it's telling you. A huge problem I see, and I've been there before with myself and even how I treated my clients. Before using blood work, you might just throw specific supplements and say, hey, I want to take XYZ because I heard it's good. Whether it's because it came from a reputable journal or it came from your friend giving you a recommendation or someone that you follow online or on TV. You might just blindly be taking supplements because you think it's good for you. Same thing with nutrition. A lot of people will try a different diet just because it's very popular right now. Whether that is a carnivore diet, a vegan diet, a keto diet, a Mediterranean diet, paleo diet, you name it. oftentimes people pick up those diets because it's popular, it's trendy, or they heard someone else that they're close to say that they've had great results with it. And don't get me wrong, you can get great results with many different diets, but instead of having to go through the process of trying to figure out what's going to work best, a cleaner and clearer starting point is going to be by getting your blood work done first. So that's the biggest thing that this whole entire podcast is going to be about. It's going to be about understanding what performance blood work looks like and how it differentiates from the standard blood work that you might get when you go to your doctor and you have a physical exam. And then I also want to talk about how the different reference ranges are going to look when you are maybe just talking to your primary care physician versus if you're working with somebody who really understands performance blood work and performance ranges. So first, let's talk about the different types of blood work that is out there. So if you've ever had the experience of going to the doctor and getting blood taken, you have to understand that the blood panels that they run for you are usually very, very basic. Typically, this is going to be your CBC, so this is your complete blood count, which is good because it can tell you what's going on from an energy perspective and also with your immune system. So it does have function, but again, very basic. You might also get a lipid panel where they're testing your cholesterol numbers, your HDL, your LDL, your total cholesterol, and also your triglycerides, right? All very important information. You'll probably get a basic metabolic panel where they're going in and they're testing your blood glucose levels. They're probably looking at your potassium, sodium, chloride, creatinine, other things like that. And if you're getting a more comprehensive metabolic panel, you might throw in some liver enzyme tests that are going to be in there. And they're also going to look at different proteins. Again, those are great numbers to start with, but they're very incomplete. And you want to think with blood work and with getting biomarkers, instead of getting the standard 8 to maybe 14, when you're getting more biomarkers, when you're getting closer to that 50, 90, 140 biomarkers, now you have a more complete picture of what's going on. And as it pertains to performance blood work, there's going to be a lot more biomarkers in there, where they're going to be looking at your hormone profile, which is huge. It's also going to look at inflammation markers. It's going to look at your brain function, liver function, heart function, plus a bunch of other things that give you a better understanding of what's going on the inside, and it gives you a more complete picture. So those are the main differences between a standard blood panel that you're going to get versus a performance blood panel. A second key distinction that I want to talk about as it pertains to performance blood work versus standard blood work is that in our traditional Western medicine system, we have to think about how healthcare works. And when you go in and they do blood work, typically they're looking for two things. They want to make sure that you don't have any infections, and they want to make sure that you don't have any diseases. Therefore, when your numbers come back, there's such a wide range of actual results that you can have. But typically when you see your regular doctor, they're going to tell you like, hey, everything's fine. Everything looks good because you were in the quote unquote normal range. And again, in the standard Western system, that normal range is so wide, right? It might be real wide like this. And then it's not till you get to the outer edges of either side where they're going to say that you're in a infectious state or a disease state. Now, that's okay if your primary goal is to just be free of disease or free of any type of infection. However, it is not good if your goal is to be the healthiest version of yourself, to be the highest version of yourself, whether that means that you are performing better because you got better energy, focus, so it's that you have a better mood with your colleagues, coworkers, boss, clients, friends, family, whoever it may be. Maybe you want to lift more weight. Maybe you want to drop more fat. Maybe you want to have more lean muscle mass on your body. Maybe you want to do a certain type of sports event. Or maybe it's as simple as wanting to be able to get on the floor and run around with your kids without being super tired after doing it, let alone being super tired before you even get to do it. So that's a huge distinction to understand. So if you've ever been to the doctor and you've complained that you have low energy, that your libido is low, your sex drive is not what it used to be, you're not as quick to get with it when you get up, your energy crashes every day at 2 p.m. during work, those are all signs that you're obviously not performing at your highest level. But your doctor is going to tell you that, hey, everything looks great on paper because those ranges are so wide for what they call quote unquote normal. On the other hand, the way that I work with my clients is that we look at this through the lens of performance, meaning in the very middle, that ideal range, that's going to be the performance scores. And then when you go one deviation each side outside of that, now you're getting into the normal range. And then as you start to get out of that, you're getting into that out of range. And that's where you're potentially getting closer to a disease state or an infectious state. So understand, when we clearly know where your numbers are, that's going to put you in a great position to understand, hey, these are some concrete changes that I can make to better my health and performance going forward. And instead of starting out the new year with a bunch of random training programs, diets, things of that nature, supplements, and just throwing it at the body, you're actually going to have a clear understanding of, hey, this is a clear snapshot of where I am right now. And with this information, I can now decide how I want to intelligently train, sleep, eat, manage my stress, etc. What's great is that right now in 2026, you have so many different options as it pertains to getting this performance blood work. Gone are the days when you had to go through your doctor to get blood work done. And again, you can still go through your doctor to get blood work done. But the problem is, if you're going through the traditional insurance model, insurance isn't going to cover performance blood work because insurance is designed for emergencies. Insurance only wants to cover the bare minimum of what's needed. And unfortunately, performance blood work does not fall under that. But fret not. For very affordable pricing, you can use what I use is Vitality Blueprint, which is a great company. And that's the company that I use and I partner with my clients. And what I love about Vitality Blueprint is that it takes us on a journey to really understand what's going on at the deepest levels. Here are the 13 functional areas that we focus on when we work together. So you got your cardiovascular functional area, stress, energy, inflammation, resilience, brain chemistry, cell health, micronutrients, sleep, your hormone profile, toxic load, gut health, and hydration. All of those things can create a complete picture of what's going on at the cellular level. And it's that information that I take that I put together a program that is going to work for you. That's how I put together the program of how to think about, hey, how do we make sure that we're taking the right supplements that are going to get you closer to where it is that you want to be? How do we focus on the proper nutrition, the right types of foods, in the right types of amounts to ensure that you are healthy and vibrant? And how do we look at your lifestyle in terms of what's the very specific way you need to train? How much resistance training do you need versus how much aerobic training do you need? Because depending on what the blood work is showing us, you might need more of one than the other. If you've been struggling with losing body fat, performance blood work is a great place to understand what's stopping you. If you've been having terrible energy for a long time where it just can't ever be consistent, performance blood work can be a great answer for that. And what I love about this is that all of this data is very quantifiable. We're getting hard, real numbers to see where you're actually at. And then what I love to do with my clients is anywhere from 3 months to 6 months later, we retest based off of all of the recommendations set in place based off of what the data showed us. And then when you come back and you retest, we can see exactly how much all of these biomarkers and these different functional areas improved based on what we put together. So understand, you can still go out and not do the blood work and take a shot in the dark and throw some mud at the wall and see what sticks, or you can do the blood work and have a clear understanding of where you are, and then we can take a very nuanced approach on how we attack your nutrition, your lifestyle, and your supplementation to get to the goals that you want. And if you currently have a health coach or a trainer and they're not doing anything blood work wise right now, ask them about that, right? Ask them if they can start doing that type of stuff in their practice, because it's going to help them help you at a higher level. And I used to be that coach. I used to be that trainer. I would throw the best practices at people, things that were very principle driven. But in 2026, now there's no reason, there's no excuse not to get the blood work done and to have even better data. In my 5-step process, the first step is assess and align. And blood work is a huge part of the assessments. And when I am able to take the blood work, and then I am able to take different questionnaires to understand what your lifestyle currently looks like, how you're training, the type of experience you have, plus what your schedule looks like, your responsibilities, how much time you have for training, the types of foods you like to eat, you don't like to eat, etc. Now we can put you in a great position to go to step 2, which is personalizing your plan. Your plan is never cookie cutter, and it shouldn't be, because you are a bio individual, meaning you have specific things that you need for your biology based off where you are in life today that is going to dictate how we create your plan. And then the third step in that is daily execution. And the way that we optimize daily execution is by understanding the constraints in your life, understanding the circumstances in your life, the responsibilities, how much time you have for certain things, and make sure that we take all of these parts of your personalized plan and fit it into that schedule. And understanding the schedule is going to look different depending on what you have going on in life, what you have going on in work, whether you are currently home for work or whether you're traveling for work. All of that needs to be personalized and tweaked depending on what's going on based on the season of life that you're in. And then the fourth step that I use is called tracking and tweaking. And we're making sure that we have a cadence of accountability to understand how are you following through on your plan. Where is your level of adherence? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how great your plan is if you can't follow through on it. And I make sure that I make it in such a way that you can adhere to your plan at least 80% success. And if you're doing the right things 80% of the time, you are going to move closer to your goals. I guarantee it. And the last step is expert accountability. It's us working together, checking in on your process, troubleshooting any things that come up, because we both know life throws curveballs. And instead of that curveball throwing us for a loop, we learn from it, we understand that lesson, and now we make sure that we have a plan in place for next time it does come up, you know exactly what to do. But this is what I wanted to go over with you today. It's understanding that instead of just coming out with a random plan or random things to do, go get the performance blood work done. It's going to put you in a position to understand where you clearly are, and it's going to allow you to think about smart ways, effective ways, sustainable ways to attack your training, your nutrition, your lifestyle, and also your supplementation. And once you have all that stuff locked in, you're going to be in a better place from now all the way through the year, and at a better, higher, and you'll have a much higher likelihood of sticking to your goals and staying on your path for all of 2026 and even beyond. If you have any questions about blood work, if you want to learn more about how I use this with my clients and how I utilize Vitality Blueprint, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram at Alvey Thompson and just send me the word blood work, and I'll get back to you and send you all of the information that you're looking for. It's the beginning of the year. It's the start of something great. Continue to be on your path. Be diligent. Have high awareness. Be intentional. Be disciplined. Make decisions that are directly aligned to the person you desire to be. And understand, at the end of the day, before you even think about doing all these different activities, because there's so many that you can do, you're truly focused on your identity and how you're showing up. And continue to ask yourself, who do I need to be to reach my goals of health and performance in 2026? If you have any friends that you think would enjoy this podcast or would be interested in this subject of performance blood work, please send them this episode. And as always, I appreciate your time. Stay dynamic, my friend. You can too.